The struggle. The struggle is real. That's something we often say, if not to one another, to ourselves. Now, here's the thing. Though the struggle is real, what is real isn't the truth. What I want you to understand and start to think about is that all of the challenges, the obstacles, the pain, the suffering, the struggles, right? All of the complications, all of the discomfort, all that you are experiencing throughout this life isn't a indicator of who you are, because who you are is beyond your identity. It is beyond your name. It is beyond your gender. It is beyond your race. It is beyond what it is you're experiencing right now. What you're experiencing right now is simply an expression of the culmination of things like your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Some people think that your thoughts and emotions and actions are who you are. And I understand that to a degree, but what you must understand is that it is an expression of a small fraction of who you are, but it isn't the totality of who you are. You are way more and beyond all of those things. You are beyond your race. You are beyond your gender. You are beyond your name, your last name. You are beyond your family lineage. You are beyond your morals, your ideas, your values. Those are just snapshots of an understanding in this very moment. Those things will change in the course of time. Yeah, even your gender and your race, because guess what? You will shed this physical form and possibly take up a new form in another realm or reality. Or you may not take up a form at all, right? And your consciousness, the purity of who you are, is way beyond gender. It is way beyond sexual orientation. It is way beyond race. And so all the things that you're experiencing in life, all the struggles and the difficulties, and I experience those things as well. So I am talking to myself just as much as I'm talking to you. I'm coming from a higher understanding, right? I am dialed in through consciousness and downloading and channeling this insight to you. Okay. This isn't something that I absolutely master and know without a question of a doubt. There is an understanding I have about it, but ultimately I still struggle and I still go through the moment where I forget who I am. Just like you may not even know who you are, though. Or if you do have an idea, you may forget more often than you would like. And that understanding is really coming into the truth as to who you are, pure consciousness. What I like to say, the individualized spark of God, the individual expression of God. That is what you are. That is what I am. That is what she is down the block. That is what he is that works in McDonald's. Every one of us is that. And so when you even think about yourself, but also the other people you exchange with, you don't have to necessarily like them, right? Or how they're expressing themselves and who they are identifying with or being at the moment. But you should most certainly love them. Why? Because they are an expression of God, just like you are. And so ultimately, what I'm talking about is practicing unconditional love toward yourself. When you're going through these struggles, when you are trying to understand why you're not getting a hold of life, why you're not creating the things that you want in life, why things aren't going as smoothly as you know they can go. When you are not living right in that space of understanding and experiencing life as you know you should be in your mind, that isn't the time to get hard on yourself. In fact, that's the time to be more soft, be more patient, practice gratitude for oneself, for your ability to be aware, because some of us aren't aware of what's going on. Some of us are simply roaming, existing, surviving, where you are on a journey of not just roaming, but thriving, right? You are not just surviving, but you're looking to live a life of abundance and joy and fulfillment. Now, you do that not by beating yourself down, not by applying guilt, shame, regret. You do that by, yes, collecting insight as to the experiences that you're having and recognizing that they are not in alignment with who you know yourself to be. Therefore, you must look deeper within yourself and recognize the reflection that is being projected in front of you. That reflection that is being projected in front of you is essentially what's going on within. So if you are not living the environment by which you know you should be living and want to live, you're not experiencing the lifestyle that you know you should be experiencing, you have to go within. Now, this isn't about, again, shame, guilt, regret. This is about gaining a deeper understanding as to who you are and what it is that you should be thinking, feeling, and doing. Okay? But you must align yourself with the purest essence of who you are in your consciousness. When we get caught up in these ideas of identity and who we think we are, right, we get lost. We get lost in this idea of what other people have, right? What other people are doing, what they seem to be accomplishing, and how they seem to be aligning with success in their way. But the truth of the matter is, we don't know what they're really going through. They can have all the shiny objects, but they can be completely empty inside, still experiencing hurt and pain. True success is not pain, is not experiencing hurt, is not experiencing emptiness. It's experiencing an ongoing, perpetual state of joy, excitement. And that's what you want, you see? So as you go through those struggles and as you experience the suffering, recognize that the suffering is just simply an indicator. It is a sign. It is a beacon. It is a messenger. Okay? It is a signal letting you know that there is some more work to do. And when you recognize that, you should then bask in it. Recognize that, okay, I'm still on this journey. And please, don't even think for a second that you should quit. Because what's on the other side of the journey, what's on the other side of this suffering that you're experiencing, this pain that you're experiencing, this discomfort that you're experiencing, is love, right? The thing that we all wish to experience, not just from an individual, but from the universe. And that is because you recognize you are the universe. Remember when I mentioned the mirror, the reflection of life that you're experiencing, that is coming from within you. Well, that reflection is ultimately you seeing yourself, right, outside of this physical body. So going beyond the egotistical state of who you are versus what everything else is around you. Going beyond that and recognizing that you are actually not separate from everything else around you. That is the spiritual awakening we are all on the journey to actually create and experience and understand. So again, the suffering that you're experiencing, yes, there are going to be moments where it's going to hit you and you're not going to want to be bothered. It's going to bother you. It's going to create a sense of, feeling like, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I just can't and will never get this. But that's the ego, okay? Because the ego's nature is to sit in comfort even when it means being uncomfortable, because that is what it's familiar with. But your journey is to transcend that, to ascend beyond that. to recognize you are more than what it is you're experiencing, whom you are being. You are beyond that. And so your journey is to recognize when you have this awareness or feeling of suffering, this feeling of pain, this feeling of frustration and anger, recognize it, but recognize that it is coming from the ego, not coming from you, the true you, consciousness. And it's also an indicator that the ego is sensing change. Remember, the ego does not like change. And so what's happening is, as you are going through this threshold, you're breaking through this threshold of a limited mindset, belief system, paradigm. The ego is sensing it. And the ego is not aware of what's on the other side of that breakthrough. So it wants you to stop because it is based in fear. It is based on the mindset of, well, maybe we would get hurt because we are separate from everybody else, right? That's the ego's thing. That's what it does. But you are not the ego. The ego is just simply a tool. You are consciousness, and you know that the things you desire, the things you dream about, the things you hope for, right? That is in line with your true self, your future self. So when you recognize that that is your destiny showing itself to you, reminding you, giving you the clues, the messages, the stones on the pavement of your path, when you're recognizing that, then you can put what it is that you're feeling from the ego aside. You can acknowledge it, yes. You can even experience it and feel that anxiety, that frustration, that sense of suffering for a little bit. But over the course of time, that feeling, that experience would lessen. It will get shorter and it will be not as intense because you are now understanding consciousness is your true identity. And so moving forward, every time you feel this sense of, why haven't I figured this out yet? Right? You're dealing with a duality of who you are. One side of you is frustrated and angry and wants to quit. The other side is excited because it knows it's just simply a matter of continuing to move along this path. And as you continue to move along this path, what does that mean? That means that you will, in fact, you already have made the breakthrough. Okay? You just have to think in terms of, some people want to think in terms of time. And time is something that is a thing, right, in this physical realm. And, you can think in terms of, it's just a matter of time, just continue to go forward. Some people don't want to deal with that, though. They don't want to acknowledge that there is time. They want it right now. Well, for you, both happens and both are true at the same time. You have to acknowledge time, but then also time doesn't exist. Remember, you are two contrasts existing at one time and one place. You are infinite and finite, right? Your consciousness is infinite, but your ego and your physical body is finite. So those two things has simultaneously different sides of the spectrum happening. This is why we often kind of feel a sense of chaos and all over the place in life, right? We feel like there's this back and forth happening. We feel highly evolved, but even in that, we feel even more silly or dumb, right? Because we know the keys and the ways of creating and manifestation, but for some reason, we can't manifest the things that we desire. We are masters at manifestation because we are always creating and we are always manifesting something. But when it comes to doing it and manifesting a thing in particular, for some reason, it's not happening. You see? So there's always this balance that is happening with us all. And so I want you to understand, though, is the more you recognize and understand yourself as consciousness, the more you are able to dial in and utilize your nature, to express your nature as a being who is meant to create. And so the suffering again becomes less and less, whereas the pleasure, the joy, the bliss, the abundance increases, right? It increases in intensity, it increases in frequency. And then you truly understand, okay, this is the real ratio of existence in life. You know, things should not be balanced, even where pleasure, joy, and happiness are the same with, pain and anger and frustration, right? Because then there is nothingness. That's a neutrality there, right? They basically eliminate one another. But what you really want to understand is that true spiritual balance is about the joy, the beauty, the love surpassing everything else. The positive emotions, the positive feelings, a positive state of mind must be way beyond the negative. Okay? Because that is truly your natural state. That is truly what you're meant to experience. You are love. Therefore, you are meant to also experience love as you are creating. The very foundation of creation is love. Think about everything that you actually want to create. Think about an artist that wants to create. They love it, right? Think about an artist who makes music. You can't ask an artist, okay, which song is your favorite? All of them are their favorite because they love all of them. You see? So you have to see yourself as an artist of your life. This life is essentially your canvas. You decide what it is that you're going to put on that canvas and what you're going to create. And at the end of this journey, you're going to have something that you can display. Okay. When we get into the next realm, when we come together collectively, right, without these physical barriers, these bodies, creating a sense of separation from one another, once we shed ourselves of these bodies and we recognize that we are in fact one and the same, then we can exchange in a way that creates great amount of beauty, right, and ecstasy and joy and true understanding as to what this journey was about. But what I want you to understand is that the suffering that you're going through is a means by which you are to use it to awaken to who you truly are, to awaken to your own understanding and your own revelation, okay? Your true understanding of self. So allow yourself to, yes, experience the suffering to a degree. Be aware. Do not let the suffering take you, Don't let it ride you through the entire day or through the entire, moment in time. Get to a place with practices like meditation and mindfulness where you actually are paying attention to what it is that you're feeling. You are monitoring what it is that you're thinking. You are aware of what it is that you're doing and what the results will be from what you're doing. So it comes to a point that when you are feeling a certain way, you notice it instantly, right? And when you notice it instantly, you take away its power, right? Especially if it is something that you notice that you do not want to experience and feel. And then you shift, you simply make a decision to feel something else. Sometimes you use an anchor, a trigger to actually pull you into a state of happiness and joy. You think about your favorite moment in time. You think about your favorite book, your favorite song. You play that song, your favorite movie, your favorite comedian, whatever it is, your favorite person. You reach out and say hi to that person. Whatever it is, you bring yourself to a state of positive emotions and thoughts. And that lessens the negativity. Okay. But when it comes to negativity, the best thing to do is to be aware and acknowledge it right away. And then that prevents you from it riding on your back for the rest of the day and basically ruining your day. And basically creating a perpetual state where, because you haven't mastered awareness, every day is pretty much the same. But when you master awareness and understand, okay, this is not the state that I want to be in. I want to be in this elevated state. And you choose that state, right? You stimulate yourself to be at that state. Then that becomes your natural state every single day. You see? So the suffering has a place. Just make sure that that place is not permanent in your existence. Make sure that that place is not a permanent expression of you, because essentially that's not who you are. Thank you so much. Feel free to go to drabundant.com. When you do, you will get free access to Chapter 1 of the Future Self Frequency, the Deluxe Transformation Edition. This book I highly recommend. It is one of the most powerful books that I've ever written, probably will ever write. So I invite you, get access to that first chapter, read that first chapter. Then, trust me, you will want to actually buy the full book, paperback, along with its companion book, My Future Self Journal, which will help you to actually connect with your future self, to actually be the version of yourself that you wish to be. Thank you once again. Peace and abundance always.